Welcome back to another Habs Summer Target with hockey coach Francis directly from Thailand. And today we have Mr. Enartap from Toronto and Mr. Marco Larabé from Hawkesbury. Welcome back, both of you, to talking about the Habs Summer Target. And Marco, what we have on the menu tonight?
Well, kind of a mix of different little potpourri of fun things happening in Habsland here, Coach, in the offseason. We're going to talk a little bit about maybe some potential trade targets that Montreal might have. And also, some interesting news coming out of Philadelphia today about Matvei Michkov has kind of the fan base a little bit fired up, let's say. Maybe a good opportunity for us to talk about that in a little quick update as we move towards the draft.
Well said, Marco, and that's it. That's how we're going to diving right away about the big news for the Flyers today from the GM of the team in Russia. Announced that possible Michkov joined the NHL sooner or later. And Marco, right away, give us a bit more what you think about that big news in NHL.
Yeah, Marco D'Amico and I think some other guys reported it today. It hasn't been made official by the Philadelphia Flyers. It looks like they're still in talks with Matvei Michkov, but it looks like he's going to be able to get out of his KHL contract much earlier than a lot of people thought, maybe as soon as next year. There's some other information there around his KHL rights will be held by the military, or I forget all the details. But bottom line is that it's looking as though no confirmation yet that Michkov might be able to play in the NHL as far as next year. Listen, a lot of Habs fans, this is kind of like opening up old wounds, Coach. As soon as you think it's all healed up, all of a sudden somebody comes on and peels the scab right off. All of a sudden we have a festering wound again. The debate from last year's draft, the Reinbacher pick over Michkov surfaces back again. So interesting for us to talk about it. You're getting a lot of Habs fans that are calling Kent Hughes negligent for maybe being bamboozled by Demidov. They should have known better, especially they have Bobroff, somebody in the KHL that should have had better intelligence as Michkov being able to come over sooner, yada, yada, yada. My thought on this, Coach, is that there's more than just the fact that Montreal didn't pick, Michkov, more than just because of the reason that they were unsure as to whether he was going to be in the KHL for 3 years. That's not the only reason that Montreal didn't pick him. Now, again, we're not insiders. We don't know all the information, but we know very well that Ken Hughes, Jeff Gordon have talked about their approach for drafting players is they want people that are team-oriented first. Those are the kind of guys that they're picking, right? So if you read a little bit, through the lines here, we've heard all kinds of reports about Michkov leading up to the draft last year. He was trying to pick his team. He was refusing to meet with certain teams. And there's some things that he wasn't a great teammate. Bobroff has a lot of connections in the KHL. There's got to be some other reasons as to why Montreal didn't pick Michkov last year. Again, we don't have all the information. So you can debate about, the optics are not going to be amazing, right? If Michkov comes in, has a really good rookie season, and Reinbacher, maybe he's still playing in the HL, has a couple games, isn't really establishing himself. In the short term, the narrative is going to be tough for Kent Hughes. And these Habs fans that are just bitter about Michkov are going to continue to be bitter. But I guess my message is that we don't have all the information. Even if Michkov does end up playing next year and having a lot of success, it's kind of the good example or comparison I would make is Shane Wright. Shane Wright might end up being a great player in the NHL. He's probably going to be a great NHL player in years to come. But would he be as good in Montreal as he's going to be in Seattle? I don't think so. Made the assessment that he didn't have the right mindset and the right kind of character to play in Montreal. When you see Shane Wright or Michkov, have really good numbers with whatever team that they end up having good numbers with, you can't just assume that they would have the same performance in Montreal, because Montreal is a very, very different place to play. So I trust the management team here, Kent Hughes, in doing their analysis of who they're bringing in to build the kind of team that they want. So I understand the Habs fans, the wound is open again, and let's try to not be as vicious to David Reinbacher as last year, where the guy had to take a social media break, after all the reaction after he got drafted. Good for the Flyers, Coach, but Habs fans, let's take a little, like Carey Price is say,
deep
just
breath.
chill.
And after,
the ironic part is the day before Briere making those comments about not having had any sort of contact or phone to call Michkov, and then the next day he's signed. So obviously something is wrong here in terms of who's telling the truth and what's going on. It's difficult. They have the reasons why they approached it from that perspective. I think in Montreal, we have to be very careful. This is something that's said and done. And of course, there'll always be the naysayers that'll say, we could have picked Michkov, but I agree with you, Marco. I mean, it wasn't one reason alone that they did not go with him. It's probably a combination of things. So they went with the safe bet, and that's with Reinbacher. And it's unfortunate a little bit for Reinbacher because there will always be this comparison moving forward, comparing the two as their careers evolve and where their ceilings will take them. But it's nothing to overly concern ourselves with, especially if this year we get fortunate enough to pick Demidov at number 5. I think it'll take the pressure off of Reinbacher a little bit, and it'll create an all-Russian war here, if you'll excuse the phrase there, the word.
Well said in our tap about this. I will add one more thing about a couple of things, but first, the Michkov scenario right now could open door for Dimitrov and Zeliev. Some people was a bit concerned, maybe they never come back play in NHL, how long it would take there. I think that's maybe a good news for the team going to select those two players on the top 5. It could have an impact, Marco and Artap, maybe to Dimitrov Zeliev could be out before the Montreal Canadiens select at number 5 also at the same time. And Montreal could get Lindstrom at the end of the day. We'll see what could happen about that selection for the Montreal Canadiens. And about Michkov, 2 things I'm looking for: the development of the players and the players, how he fit inside the organization. I have no regrets about Reinbacher over Michkov. I think Montreal know a lot of things, what Marco said, we don't know. And they have a reason behind they select one specific player over other players. It's not a perfect science. It's not a 100 guarantee, right? You can have a great selection. And every year, you have only one team pick the best player on the draft and 31 other team make a mistake. That's simple. I'm looking more about the player, how he is fit with the team for have a better success a long run. That's conclude the first subject. The second subject we got for everyone here. Another NHL news. Carolina got eliminated in 6 by the New York Rangers a couple of days ago. They already make some decision. Ron Bredamo back for a long-term contract extension, by the way, to be the head coach with the Carolina Hurricane. A lot of rumor was sent him with the Seattle Kraken, but they announced Pet Chick and also Martin
Necas.
Here we go. Said this perfectly for me. He's going to be on the market. He's an RFA. It's not like they're not going to resign him, just to let him go. Many teams are going to knock the door and phone call the GM Wendell. And we want to talk about what it could happen for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, well, when we made our last video with the speculative trades that are possible, this is the one that one of the two that came up from both Marco and I. I mean, he's a great addition to any team that he goes to. I think the other day his agent also made the point that he's looking to move towards a team that will either play him somewhere on the top 6 and give him opportunity to play on the power play. I could see that happening in Montreal. When we discuss like what would it take to pry him out, I mean, that's a bit of a different story, and it depends what the price is, right? But think of where our assets are accumulating right now. We have lots of draft picks. We also have defensemen, and it appears like they're going to say goodbye to Pesce as well. They will have a spot to occupy there. Will it take somebody like a Mayu to consummate this deal? I don't know. It might take more. I think that Hughes has a lot to work with if he really feels that this is a piece that they covet and will go after. So it could very well happen because I think they have the pieces that would make Carolina happy.
Well, guys, yeah, like you mentioned, Andersap, this is one of the players that we talked about in one of our previous summer target videos. There's no question, he would look really nice in Montreal's top 6. If you saw his performance in the playoffs, like he, in my opinion, was one of the more consistent Hurricanes in that series, like really dynamic with the puck. I think he had 2 or 3 goals in the last 4 games of the series. Very visible. They have him, again, playing a little bit down the lineup, not playing with players like Aho and Svechnikov, like more playing on the third line at times. So you can see why him and his agent are talking about wanting to have a little bit more of an opportunity. Some people might say that, yes, he's a bigger guy, he's got decent size. He doesn't play that big, he's not a physical guy, but, seeing him on a line with Kirby Dach, I think it would look pretty nice. Because I think like his lateral movement, like his ability to kind of, you could argue he would probably be right there with Nick Suzuki in terms of being Montreal's best player. If they were to get Necas next year, he's right there. Him and Nick Suzuki would probably be close to being their best player, in my opinion, based on where the other players are with their development and everything. Unless Slavkovsky just kind of continues his progression next year right away. Great fit. The question again is, what's it going to cost? I don't see Carolina being in a position where they're going to want futures necessarily. They're going to want NHL bodies to come in. Anything can happen, guys, but again, I would be shocked if they move a right-handed defenseman. Like, they just don't have a lot of depth. I know I'm going to get crucified. I'm not even going to say the name because I know I'll get crucified on their depth is on the left side of their defense, right? So I'll say this: you're not going to get him for Harris or Struble or even Jack. I don't think that you would be able to get a player like Necas. Do the math. Who is not included in the list that I just said? That's probably the kind of player that Montreal would need to move in order to get somebody like him, because I don't think they have a forward prospect or an NHL body that would fit what Carolina is looking for. Would I love this to happen? Yes, but I see that there's maybe some better fits out there. Team that's going to be interested in Necas maybe would be the New Jersey Devils. They're also, maybe Calgary would also be interested in a player like Necas, right? And we know that they have a goaltender that might be available. There's going to be a lot of suitors for a player like this, and there's going to, we'll see if Montreal is the right dance partner. But I think it would be a great pick. His age fits perfectly with the window of players that we have. Right-handed shot. I think would be a great fit with Montreal.
That's conclude another Habs Summer Target. And before we leave, we want to thank both of you, Mr. Nartap and again Marco, to join me live on this episode. And of course, we want to remind everybody, don't forget to click on the like, subscribe, and leave us a comments about this episode. And you have greatness inside of you. And we wish you an amazing, great, blessed day, everybody.